Nagaland International Research Center Quarterly Lecture organized in collaboration with Don Bosco College Kohima. I take this honor and privilege to extend our sincere welcome to our respected guest speaker, Dr. Chong Chae Cho. I hope I am pronouncing it properly. Director, Korea Institute for International Economic Policy, KIEP, New Delhi. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and to be a part of our lecture today. Sir Cho is currently Director of Korea Institute for International Economic Policy at the Delhi office. He has served in various positions at KIEP. Before joining KIEP, Dr. Cho was an adjunct professor for the Graduate School of Soham University and Hankuk University of Foreign Studies in Korea. He was a research fellow at the World Economic Research Institute and Lotte Economic Research Institute. He also worked for Seoul Economic Delhi as a reporter. Dr. Cho holds a PhD in economics from Hankuk University of Foreign Studies. He was a visiting scholar at Claremont Graduate University in the United States. We are so glad and we are so eager to looking forward to have an interactive session with you, sir. I also heartily welcome our today's moderator, Dr. Kwezo Yome, Senior Fellow, Asian Conference Shillong Meghalaya, and Advisor of NIRC, Nagaland International Research Center, and respected Father Principal, Dr. Suresh, who is going to invoke us God presence for the program today. And my dear colleagues, and also students and all the participants. So before we go to the actual program, we would like to welcome our sir by presenting a Naga souvenir to show our love and appreciation for his presence today. Take the time for invitation.
Heavenly Father, we believe in you, we trust in you, we adore you, and we glorify you. Lord, we believe that it's you who created us.
It is indeed a privilege to have a very distinguished scholar from South Korea. We are extremely grateful that Dr. Cho readily accepted our invitation to be here and present the second NIRC lecture. And we're thankful to you, Dr. Cho, for that. He has been already introduced. So what I'll do is I'll just hand over the floor to you, and I'm sure that we'll have a very interesting interaction after the presentation.
Thank you. I think it's very difficult to speak some things. You made me very touched. So thank you so much, especially the Nagaland International Research Center and the Don Bosco College Kohima, all of the officials and all of the students, and especially Dr. Yome. You invite me and also organize other things. And Dr. Ao and Dr. Singh and the fathers, Suresh. Especially thank you so much. And all of your students, and lastly, you're the music club. It's so nice for me. Yeah, it's not easy to change my mind to speak lectures. Thank you again. Yeah. Now, let me begin by briefly introducing my institute, Kiev, and myself. First is next page. World economy at the bilateral, multilateral, and mini or micro level lateral provide the consulting service to the strengthening economic cooperation with the Korean government and the public. You know well, the economic and the security issue are not being separated as in the past. Accordingly, KFE is also researching cooperations in the economy, security, and the social and the cultural sector. You can find some the center, the economic security centers. This is newly created in my institutions I already mentioned. Recently, the security economy issue is not separated. And Kiev established its the third overseas base in Delhi, India, at the end of last year, following the Washington DC in US, the first, and the second is the Beijing in China. I was dispatched to India at the end of last year, and my office is located in Aero City near the Delhi airport. When you come to Delhi, please come to my office. Most welcome you anytime. Next, please. I started studying the Indian economy in 1994. It has been almost 30 years. I studied the Indian economy continuous private companies. Korean economic cooperations between Korea and India over the past 50 years, and the challenges for new corporations for the next 50 years. Also, in the era of the economic security, which is unfolding in unpresent but inevitable, I would like to share with you new 50 years visions for the cooperations between both, especially between Korea and Northeast India. Next, first look at the trade. In December 1973, the two countries established ambassador-level diplomatic relations. And the following years, in 1974, the volume of trade between the two countries was just $27 billion. At that time, Korea exported $5 million to India, and India exported $22 million to Korea. Now Korea is trade surplus country, but until the 1970s, India was trade surplus country. Although there is no accurate data or information for the import item from India at that time, it is estimated that hair for the wig manufacturing, which were Korea's major exports at that time, and railroad for the railway constructions were probably the main imports. Korea exports to India began to soar in 1980s, and by the 1989, the bilateral trade reached nearly the $1 billion. Especially at that time, India imported a lot of the offshore structures for crude oil and the natural gas production and transportation of the coast of the Mumbai. Since then, As India's reform and opening policy began in the 1990s, bilateral trade has increased and surpassed $2 billion. In particular, as Korean conglomerates Daewoo, Hyundai, LG, and Samsung invested in automobiles and home appliances, so trade in related facilities and parts increased. Entering the 2000s, as India's economic and industrial growth accelerated, the volume of the trade between two countries increased rapidly, approaching $10 billion in 2006, and the two countries began to FTA negotiation. The CEPA and FTA between two countries came into effect in 2010. And 2011, the bilateral trade volume exceeded $20 billion. Since then, the scale of trade between both has been stagnant due to the slowdown in the world trade and the economic growth of both countries before facing the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. However, from the 2021, bilateral trade increased again and recorded $27.8 billion last year in 2022. In the 50 years, the volume of trade has increased almost 20 times. So Korea is now India's 10th largest trading partner, and India is Korea's 7th largest trading partner. Next slide, please. Unlike trade, bilateral investment has a relatively short history. This is because India virtually did not allow foreign investment until the 1991 reform and opening policy. However, since then, Korea's investment in India has never been inferior to the performance of trade. Until the 1990s, Korea was one of the most active countries in investing in India. You can see the right side of the slide. You can see the portion of the Korean investment in the total year of foreign appliance and the passenger car. These products have now become staple consumer durables in most households in India, and India's main export products. In the 2000s, the Korea's investment in India continued to be made by raising funds in India rather than investing directly from Korea. As a result, Korea's share of the foreign investment has decreased relatively, but the actual investment scale continues to increase. The Hyundai started producing 2.5 lakhs passenger cars per year. Now, Hyundai has reached nearly 8 lakhs units per year. 8 lakhs. And recently, Hyundai acquires GM's Indian plant for $500 million to prepare the electronic vehicles productions. And LG Electronics and Samsung Electronics are also continuously improving their home appliance capabilities. Samsung Electronics currently has the world's largest production capacity for smartphones. Many small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as Korean cafes and restaurants, are rapidly increasing in recent years. Next slide, please. But there was also things that didn't go well. It is development corporations, so-called ODA, Official Development Assistance. This requires some further explanations. You may be surprised, but only 23 years ago, in 2000, Korea was excluded from the list of ODA recipients by DAC, Development Assistance Committee, that is OECD's 8 donor groups. The Korea has been receiving aid from the United States and the others since 1945. And in 2010, Korea became the first OECD country to donate ODA. For the first time in the world, Korea has gone from being an aid recipient to a donor country. As an aid donor country, the start itself was very late compared to the other countries. In addition, until 2015, India did not receive any aid from any countries or institutions other than G8 countries, including the EU and the international organizations such as World Bank and ADB. At the summit meeting between two countries in 2015, India accepted Korea's aid fund. And for about 2 years after that, the relevant ministries and agencies of two countries coordinated technical issues. Therefore, the development cooperations between two countries was not situations that could be pursued until 2018. And right away, COVID-19 in 2022 occurred. Next slide. Meanwhile, similar to the other donor countries, Korea select priority partner countries and establishes and implements mid to long-term cooperation plan for each country. India was included as one of the 27 priority countries in 2021, and a mid to long-term cooperation plan, so-called CPS, Country Partnership Strategy, was established in 2022, last year. I will be shared with you very shortly. Next slide. Oh, okay, before. Yeah. Before. Yes, okay. So Korea set the goal for development cooperation with India to support India's economic development and promote economic exchange with India. In addition, India's midterm strategy for the national development, strategy for New India at 75 was reviewed to identify India's cooperation needs, and Korea's cooperation capabilities were combined to establish 6 assistance objectives. The first is the support for elevating regional imbalance through urban development. Second, acceleration of economic growth through the expansion of the transportation infrastructure and improvement of logistics systems. Third, the support for enhancement of water resources management capabilities. Fourth, strengthen access to health, hygiene, and medical services. Fifth, support environmental protection and the response to climate change. Sixth, the support the incorporation of ICT into for transportation and the public administrations. Next slide. If we divided the support area or fields, there are 6 or 7 areas: regional development and smart city, transportation, water management, and health, hygiene, environment, green energy, and ICT. Next slide. So therefore, there is only one confirmed development cooperation project so far. As a project related to support Goal 2 or Goal 6, a loan agreement was signed at the end of 2022 for the project to install ITS, Intelligence Traffic System, on the Mumbai-Nagpur 700-kilometer expressway. Next slide. Now, when I'm looking at the achievement of economic cooperations over the past 50 years between two countries and the challenges for the next 50 years, I would like to say first that in terms of trade and investment, although it started relatively late compared to the other countries, we established a practical win-win relationship in the Far East. In particular, I think India provided to Korea the opportunity to participate in the next giant market after China. And Korea provided to India securing manufacturing and export capabilities in a short period of time. Also, I would like to evaluate that we have to establish the institutional and empirical foundations for full-fledged cooperations with ODA. In our lately, 50 years from now, our two countries must expand cooperations to further new industries and new technologies such as electric vehicles, batteries, and semiconductors, clean energy, digital, human and physical infrastructures, and smart cities. In addition, ODA project should be promoted in earnest, focusing on regions and sectors that need development cooperation the most. Next. From now on, I will briefly share you our vision for the next 50 years of our two countries. It is my opinions. The first, the world is already fragmented. The flat world, an era where international cooperation was working well, is becoming difficult. Economists, including myself, are using the term economic security, as the economy and security are not separated. I will not explain the background, cause, phenomena, and the problems of this anymore, because I think you can already familiar with it. Next slide. What I want to emphasize is that an era unfold which the economy and securities are not decoupled. The cooperations between two countries, Korea and India, has now become more strategically meaningful. You are probably well aware of the fact of the South Korea is overly dependent on the United States for security and on China for its economy. The United States is the South Korea's the only military and security ally, and China is South Korea's the largest exporter. The conflict and the discord between United States and China are very challengeable tasks for Korea. However, India is virtually the only giant country that has secured the widest strategic autonomy, even in the face of the intensifying confrontations between camps after the Russia-Ukraine wars. Next slide. Meanwhile, India, as the world's most populous country, India must continue its economic development through more stable economic growth. As I explained earlier briefly, Korea is the only country in the world that has changed from an aid recipient to an aid donor through economic growth and development in the shortest period of the time. India needs Korea's experience in fostering manufacturing and new industries, expanding human and physical infrastructures, and managing them. Korea, which has a strong hardware, and India, which has a strong software, are very complementary in the digital transformation sector. Next slide. In addition, the two countries have never had a conflict or hurt each other. From ancient times to modern times and until recently. The latter, the two countries have had human, religious, and materials exchanges for the long times. And the people of the both countries share the pain of the colonizations. During the Korean War, India actively supported Korea. The relationship between the two countries has been upgraded to the special strategic partnership following the CEPA, and has become the most like-minded partner in the era of the economic securities. Next slide. In particular, I think Northeast India is very suitable area to apply Korea's development experience. As you can see, I get some pictures of the Korea. Above all, like Kohima here, you can see everywhere the mountains and hills. That is why in Korea there are so many bridges and the tunnels on the highways. The development environment here is very similar to Korea. When your Chief Minister Leo visited Korea in 2009, he also evaluated that the environment and level of development are similar to those of Korea in the Koreas in the 1970s. But more than anything else, there is familiarities between Korea and here in the Northeast that I felt last month in Ceylon and here in Kohima today. There is definitely geography, the culture, and the racial affinities. This is when I visit the Ceylon. In that times I attended with the Dr. Yome. There was the first visit to Northeast as for me. So I found many things. The students looks mostly same in Korea, and some fruit also very same, and the bamboo, pine trees is very popular in Korea, and the woman's using the umbrella to protect the sun. In Delhi, it's impossible. Yeah, so it's very interesting. And some fruits are kind of the silkworms, the fruits, mulberry, yeah. In Korea is very popular. So I think like this, the great intangible asset between our two countries, especially here in the Northeast and Korea. As mentioned already earlier, there is a little Korea's experience in development cooperation in India, even more so with the Northeast. But this familiarity is really long-term and more valuable asset than any experience. When I arrived yesterday afternoons, I took around, go on the hillside. So I saw the children, they are playing the badminton. So I say hello. They do not know me, the foreigners. Yeah? So just I'm feeling I was just the walking in the Korean the street. Yeah. So my hometown is Busan. Busan is really have much the hillside, like the first big pictures, the left side. Busan is a harbor, but mostly the terrain is the mountain or hills. So many houses like this. It looks like this area. So it's very familiar to taking work with the small streets. Okay, now please next slide. Now I will wrap up my presentations. Development operations between the two countries has been newly created, and the confrontations between camps is intensifying. So as the two countries celebrate the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties this year, and we have to master design on new 50 years. In particular, the two countries should expand the cooperations to future new industries and smart cities based on the existing experience of friendship and cooperation. In addition, the two countries should promote various projects by making the northeast region of India well intangible cooperative assets of commonality have accumulated naturally for a long time as a major base of development cooperations. Through this, in the long term, it is necessary to actively cooperate with neighboring countries in South Asia, such as Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan, as well as Bay of Bengal countries, and furthermore, Asian countries, to create models for the South-South development cooperations. Thank you so much.
Relations, I think you have touched upon all the key sectors, key aspects of that relationship, including trade and investment, ODA, and your own vision about that relationship as it evolves in the next 50 years. I think we have some time for question and Q&A, and it will be great if the students can ask some questions about Korea's role in development of the Northeast. Any questions that you would like to pose to Dr. Cho? It will be. This is more a learning process. We are here to learn. We are here to interact and exchange ideas. So I think it will be very nice if the students can also ask questions on the presentation, as well as on any other questions, interests that you may have.
My question is, what are the things that Northeast and South Korea have in common in the business platform?
My question will be, in Nagaland, women could not possess properties. Did South Korea somehow face similar kind of situations? Or how can women participate in the growth of economic participating in economy?
My question is, it is true that women have contributed to economic development of South Korea.
In 1950, Korea faced the Korean War between South Korea and North Korea, and I think it is a fact that after the war, both Koreas, but South Korea in particular, I think it had undergone a lot of challenges and struggles. So I wanted to know, how did South Korea overcome all those challenges? And today, as we all know, South Korea is an industrial power, and I believe it has the potential to become a superpower. So can you give us a glimpse or a gist of what Korea did to overcome those challenges?
For you, Luis, how did South Korea achieve successful economic development in the last few decades?
Hello, sir. Sir, can you provide some examples of successful outcomes of development resulting in the relation between Korea and Northeastern, some successful implementation or development?
Hello, sir. My question is, what were the major items that Korea demanded the most in the Indian import?
After the relationship between Korea and India trade, I've always been a big fan of Korea culture. So following up Korea culture in Nagaland is already been famous. Every household or every young youth follow Korean culture. So does that bring any advantage in our culture? The
Korean economy. So I would like to respond to these issues first. So if you have interested in the Korean history, you can find it easily. In 1945, Korea dependent from the Japan's colonies. So from that, we received the ODA. I already mentioned the USA and another developed countries. They gave the Korea too much the ODA, the development corporations, and in that times everything is destroyed because of the war. So yesterday in the midnight after dinners, Dr. Yome showed me the kind of the Kohima the battles between the Japan's and the British. The picture is the same in Korea. Everything is destroyed. So in that times, Koreans, and also Korea has no natural resources. We have fully imported from the petroleum. We have no gas, no oils. So mostly the natural resources we have to import it from. Frankly speaking, you know well, this is some isolated from your mainland because it's very long and very far. And in Korea also same, the hillside or the mountainous land is very difficult to develop rather than the flat land like Delhi or some other flat land area. But in Korea also the same. So we have to focus in the human development. So all of the Korean people and government emphasize the education. I think it's the same. So we try to make some things. If we import the oil and gas and natural resources and make something to input value additions in Korea, and we sell, we export to the other countries because Korea is so small. So I think the people's they're working very hard with the well-educations, and the strategy is good, I think, because Korea is so small. So first our target, our main the market is the overseas. So that means if we Korea satisfied our domestic market, we cannot develop well. Firstly, we have to compete the international players because we have to go out because local market is so small. So that strategy, that approaches make me Korea stronger. Like in any sectors, automobiles and semiconductors and shipbuildings. Because keep the competitiveness, we have to go more studies, go work hard, and to work more. So I think the God gives equally, I think. Yeah, you see the Saudi Arabia or some Middle East countries, they have enough the natural resources, but development situation is not so good. So many the Latin America, they have huge the natural resources, but their development is not so good. So I think we have, including Korea also, we have to focus our the competitiveness given resources. If there is no the natural resources, we have to develop the human resources. So it's a right strategy, and it will be effective strategies. So I think it's very, very important thing, I think. And somewhat details of the questions like how to learn in Naga styles restaurant in Korea, and how to make long business with Korea in this area, and how to make a kind of the business platform between Korea and this area. First, we have to make more the contact point. We know each other more, and the exchanges like the people exchanges and exchanging the ideas, including the academia or some conference or seminars. So without interaction first, we cannot make nothing. So if you have any interested in India, in Korea, you try to find yourself. Recently, I belong the late 50s. I was born in 1965. So in their times, we do not have the internet, but in these times, everywhere we can use the internet. We have the telephones. So if you want to get something, first you try with your the resources, even it is online or anything. So if first you try to get something from, so you can start, I think. So I think it's a good idea. In Korea, the Indian restaurant is so popular, but mostly northeast, North Indian restaurants. Punjab style the food, so chapati and naan and roti and some gravy. So even the southern Indian restaurant is not popular in Korea. Mostly a North Indian's restaurant, and even some Nepals or some Bangladeshis, they came to Korea. They learned Indian restaurant. Korean cannot discriminate Indian or Nepal or Bangladeshi persons. So India is a kind of some good brand, better brand name than the Bangladeshi or Nepal. So that's why in Korea so many the Indian restaurants. So I think the Indian restaurant for the Nagaland style, I think it does make sense. I think why not? You try. I will be you the customer. and the woman's activities, I've heard in Korea recently. In Korea, the one problem, the challenges, big challenges. Yesterday, I talked to Dr. Gyome. We have done everything in very short period. The high economic growth just only 30s and 40 years. So that means there are so many problems. So my father's suffering the war-torn, very severe situations. But now still he arrived, he enjoyed everything. So, but he has very long the memories from very severe poverty and to very good conditions. But my young generations, like my daughters, they do not know the past, the bad situation. They do not know. So they make a kind of some the conflict of the generational gap. So like this issue is very big issues in Korea, and the income disparity is deepening, and aging societies. In Korea, in the world, the latest the birth rate. Two couples, woman and man, get married, 0.78 some daughters. So that means the population is decreased. The world lowest is a very big challenge for Korean economy. The aging issues and income disparity and the general disparities and like this. So I think I want to emphasize back to the business issues. I think you have so so many potentials, and you have so many chance to know to make any business related to Korea or something. Because if you try to get some more, you can get. I think I already mentioned even the start is small, but without start we cannot everything, nothing. And some people ask me the import and export items. I already show you what is the main export item to Korea. Can you guess? As far as I know, the number one is the naphtha. Naphtha, do you know? The oils. The first, the outcomes, the naphtha, it is main material for the chemicals and petrochemicals. So like the Reliance Industries, India has the biggest petrochemical industries. But naphtha is a very kind of some simple product in the petrochemical products. But anyway, India is getting joining a kind of global supply chains in this area. Korea also was the number 1 or 2 the exporter of the naphtha, but now maybe I think India is 1 or 2. So Korea's main import product from India is naphtha, and second is aluminum and some the textiles. Yes, yeah. And our Koreans made the export the item to India is the semiconductors and the part of automobile and part of the electronics. Yes, and some the petrochemicals products and iron products also. And another questions. The cultural exchanges are, it's a very. I like to mention the culturally the familiarity is very good, great the asset between us. I like to mention in India and especially in this area, northeast regions, Japanese are already big countries. Japanese, in terms of GDP, the 3 largest countries. So Japan already gives so much money to develop the India, including this area. But I already mentioned, Korea is now start. We are preparing, we are making the plan. At this moment, just one project is confirmed as a kind of ODA. But now we have to go more. But like these situations, including here, many Naga peoples or many feeling same like me. Okay, I do not make more. Thank you.
I think the key operative words, I think that has come out from his answers to the questions are human resources, education, people-to-people connectivity, and exchanges among scholars and students. I think these are the takeaways as far as we are concerned.
India and Korea are going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the diplomatic ties. It is a matter of great pride to have met you today, sir, and learned so much about your country, about India's ties with Korea. And I must say that though we read so much literature, we come to know about so many things across from the stand by each other in the course of development. And again, we are so privileged to have you with us. Thank you so very much for your kind presence here, for sharing your thoughts with us. And with this, we come to an end of this session.